Wall. The wall is a colossal fortification which stretches for 100 leagues, 300 miles or 482.8 kilometers, along the northern border of the Kingdom of the North, separating the realm from the domain of the wildlings who live beyond. The wall is reported to be over 700 feet tall and is made of solid ice. It was supposedly constructed using both magic and mundane means some 8 millennia ago in the aftermath of the Long Night to defend the realm against the White Walkers who dwell in the far north, though they are now considered myths by most. The wall has grown considerably since it was first constructed, as the Night's Watch has spent the years augmenting it with ice blocks and upgraded defenses. The wall has been rendered ineffective following the breaching of the wall and, subsequently, abandoned. The wall is a massive barrier of mostly ice stretching across the northern border of the Seven Kingdoms, separating it from the wildlands beyond. The wall is 100 leagues long, 300 miles, and reaches over 700 feet at its highest point, although some foundation blocks in hilly regions, such as near Greyguard, send it 900 feet in the air. One of Lomas Longstrider's 9 wonders made by man, the wall is defended and held by the sworn brothers of the Night's Watch, who patrol and guard 19 castles from the Frostfangs mountain range in the west to the Bay of Seals in the east. Only the Shadow Tower, Castle Black, and Eastwatch by the Sea are garrisoned at the start of a Song of Ice and Fire. Those who join the watch in order to avoid another punishment can be referred to as sent to the wall. Night's Watch. The wall is defended and held by the sworn brothers of the Night's Watch. Though they were once a respected order, the watch has fallen on hard times by the time of the War of the Five Kings. It has become grievously undermanned, numbering less than 1,000 men, an all-time low. While once great glory and honor was to be had in the watch, in the present day it is often seen as a glorified penal colony. The current headquarters of the watch is Castle Black, located in the shadow of the wall at the northern end of the King's Road. Eastwatch by the Sea, located at the eastern end of the wall, serves as the main port and resupply post for the Night's Watch. The Shadow Tower at the western end of the wall is the only other manned castle. Among the abandoned castles along the length of the wall is the Night Fort, the first fortress built on the wall and the original headquarters of the Night's Watch. The region south of the wall is called the Gift, bestowed to the Night's Watch by House Stark thousands of years ago to supply the Night's Watch with food and provisions. In the past, the Night's Watch would send men out every morning to the north side of the wall to cut down any trees growing within 1 mile of the structure, so the wildlings couldn't use any natural cover to approach the base of the wall undetected. With the ranks of the Night's Watch drastically diminishing over the years, many of the areas between the 3 forts that are still manned have tall trees growing right up to the base of the wall. Defenses. The watch employs a variety of defenses in order to defend the wall. The top of the wall is dug out in a trench-like manner to give protection from the weather. Several outlets and wooden pillboxes allow archers to fire on enemies below. A special pulley system allows archers to hang over the edge of the wall to fire straight down on enemies attempting to climb it. Other defenses include wooden ramps for dropping stone, ice, and barrels of burning oil on attackers. The watch also has ballistae and catapults strong enough to kill giants. Perhaps the most impressive defense mechanism is the scythe at Castle Black, a massive, bladed pendulum that runs along the wall with tremendous force, sweeping away any climbers within its swinging arc and raining ice on those below. Following its release, the scythe can be retracted to prime it for another swing. The physical nature of the wall is its greatest defense, regardless of how many men garrison it. The wall is too thick to simply smash through, and its height makes it nearly impossible to storm. Normal archers cannot fire all the way to the top. Considering that the wildlings possess little in the way of advanced weaponry like ballistae, only giants armed with huge bows have any feasible chance at hitting defenders on the top. The wall can also shed large sheets of ice if disturbed, making scaling it an unpredictable and incredibly dangerous endeavor. On the ground, there are tunnels for rangers returning from beyond the wall expeditions. At Castle Black, the tunnel is guarded by an outer 4-inch thick, cold-rolled steel gate and a thin slotted inner gate. The builders of the Night's Watch permit the forest to come no closer than half a mile to the wall. However, over time forest has crept back closer to abandoned castles. Rangers patrol the lands beyond the wall. The top of the wall is studded with catapults, cranes, and trebuchets, but they are immobile. Additionally, some catapults and trebuchets have been dismantled for repair and never reassembled after being frozen in ice. The Night's Watch can reach the top of the wall from the southern side via ramps of earth and gravel, winch-drawn cages, and steps of ice, stone, or wood. The twisting tunnel through the wall at Castle Black is secured by a thick oaken door and 3 grates with heavy iron bars, massive chains that must be unlocked, and murder holes, while the gate at the Night Fort had an iron portcullis. All tunnels have been sealed except for those at Castle Black, Eastwatch by the Sea, and the Shadow Tower, however. The galleys of Eastwatch patrol the Bay of Seals in part to catch smugglers who bypass the wall through the sea and trade weapons to wildlings. In the west, the southern frost fangs and the gorge make the terrain impassable for all but small groups of raiders. The wall provides a tremendous tactical advantage to its defenders, enabling a small group to hold off a much larger force. Defenders are generally beyond the range of bow shot or catapult and in turn rely on archery, catapult, and dropped objects to deter an assault. In particular, barrels containing rocks frozen in ice are effective in dispersing a mass charge. Attackers must rely on one of two tactics: a direct assault on one of the few well-defended gates, or scaling the wall in small groups and attacking a gate from the rear. The gates have been designed with features such as murder holes and limited access that make them difficult to force. In an extreme case, gates can be filled with rock and ice, thus becoming as impervious as any other part of the wall. Scaling the wall involves similar difficulties. Wildlings climb the northern side of the wall with hempen rope, stone hammers, ice axes, and spiked boots. A team of determined climbers can reach the top, but only if undetected by defenders, who can easily knock them off with dropped objects or archery. The wall is thought to defend itself, disgorging sheets of its own ice. Scale and unit conversion. Measurements in the Seven Kingdoms in both the books and TV series are given in imperial measurements. The wall is about 100 leagues or 300 miles, 482.8 kilometers, long, about 700 feet tall, 213 meters, and averages 300 feet in width, 91 meters. In Misa, Sam says that the wall is 500 miles long. This appears to be an error, as the books clearly state that it is 300 miles long, and the evidence in the TV show, such as the distances given for Winterfell to Torrance Square and the faster speed of travel between Winterfell and King's Landing, suggests that Westeros may actually be smaller than in the books, while the wall being 500 miles long would actually make it substantially larger. Appearance. The wall stretches for 300 miles and is approximately 700 feet tall. It is made of solid ice, stone, and earth, and can be seen for miles round. It appears gray or blue depending on the weather and time of day. The top is wide enough for a dozen mounted knights to ride abreast, and it is thicker at the base. The top is wider in man places than the King's Road, and crushed stone is spread on walkways to aid with footing. According to myth, there are old spells woven into the wall to strengthen it and keep creatures of a magical nature such as the others from passing it. The wall is straight like a sword from Castle Black to Eastwatch by the Sea, but runs like a snake between Castle Black and the Shadow Tower. Led by Othel Yarwick, the first builder, the builders of the Watch monitor and repair the wall. Windblown dirt covers the wall like film, and it often appears pale gray or dull white. The wall shines blue and crystalline in sunlight, glimmers palely in moonlight, and glows pink and purple at dawn. The wall sparkles from melting ice on sunny days, with rivulets of water being compared to weeping. Tunnels have been cut through the wall at each castle of the Night's Watch. They are sealed with ice and stone wherever castles have been abandoned or in times of danger. Cells chiseled from the ice at the foot of the wall are used as storerooms or prisons. While Benjen Stark, the first ranger, believes the wall is the largest structure built by man, others say the high tower in Old Town is even taller, and that the wall can allegedly be seen from the tower's top. Castles. The Night's Watch raised 19 castles to guard the 100 leagues of the wall, although they never manned more than 17 at one time. Over the last 300 years, as the manpower of the Watch has dropped, most of these castles have been abandoned. Old Nan refers to them as ghost castles. The Night Fort was the first to be abandoned, in the reign of King Jaehaerys I Targaryen. Only 3 castles currently remain in use, though sometimes a larger force is sent to one of the abandoned castles for a fortnight or a moon's turn. The manned castles are Castle Black, the largest maintained castle, located at the northern end of the King's Road and held by nearly 600 brothers, the Shadow Tower, the westernmost of the occupied castles, garrisoned by 200 men of the Night's Watch, and Eastwatch by the Sea, the port of the Night's Watch with the smallest garrison, located at the eastern end of the wall. The 19 castles on the wall, listed from west to east, are Westwatch by the Bridge, the Shadow Tower, commanded by Ser Dennis Mallister, Sentinel Stand, Grey Guard, Stone Door, Hoarfrost Hill, Ice Mark, the Night Fort, Deep Lake, Queen's Gate, Castle Black, commanded by Jeor Mormont, the Lord Commander of the Night's Watch, Oakenshield, Woodswatch by the Pool, Sable Hall, Rhymegate, Long Barrow, The Torches, Green Guard, Eastwatch by the Sea, commanded by Cotter Pike. History. The wall was made to defend the realms of the first men, and the men of the Night's Watch have reportedly defended the wall against others and other monsters for 8,000 years since the end of the Long Night. According to legend, the wall was built by Brandon the Builder with the assistance of children of the forest and giants, and it is protected with ancient spells and sorcery. Supposedly, Brandon placed foundations along heights wherever possible. Also according to legend, the wall is vulnerable to the Horn of Joramun. Maesters dispute if the base of the wall was made of stone, but they generally believe builders of the watch used sledges to transport ice cut from frozen lakes in the haunted forest. However, the severely reduced Night's Watch at the present time is limited to maintenance duty. Some kings beyond the wall have led hosts of free folk south, but all have been broken at the wall by the Night's Watch or, if they manage to evade the watch and pass south, by House Stark of Winterfell. When King Jaehaerys I Targaryen visited Winterfell, Queen Alysanne Targaryen flew on Silverwing to visit the wall. Her dragon's refusal to cross the wall puzzled and disturbed the queen. In the books. In the A Song of Ice and Fire novels, the wall is about 700 feet tall and is defended by 3 manned castles, the Shadow Tower at the far western end, Eastwatch by the Sea in the far east and Castle Black in the middle, where the King's Road meets the wall. The top is wide enough for a dozen mounted knights to ride abreast and it is thicker at the base. Castle Black is the watch's headquarters and primary redoubt. 16 additional castles stretch along the base of the wall, but these are no longer permanently manned due to the watch's lack of manpower. The wall was allegedly built by Brandon the Builder after the Battle for the Dawn to defend against the return of the others. Numbered on the map at right, these are names of the other castles. Of these, only the Shadow Tower is still garrisoned at the start of the books, as well as Castle Black and Eastwatch, whose names are written out on this map. Westwatch by the Bridge. The Shadow Tower. Sentinel Stand. Grey Guard. Stone Door. Hoarfrost Hill. Ice Mark. The Night Fort. Deep Lake. Queensgate, previously Snowgate. Oakenshield. Woodswatch by the Pool. Sable Hall. Rhymegate. The Long Barrow. The Torches. Green Guard. All 19 castles were not built at the same time, many of them centuries apart. Castle Black actually isn't the original headquarters of the Night's Watch. The original headquarters was the Night Fort, the first castle built along the wall, making it possibly 8,000 years old. The Night Fort is larger than all of the other 18 castles that were subsequently built along the wall. As the Night's Watch's numbers dwindled, the large castle was so understaffed that it became difficult to maintain. This ultimately led to the Night Fort being abandoned 200 years ago, and the headquarters of the Night's Watch was moved to Castle Black. It isn't clear exactly how old Castle Black is, but it wasn't purpose-built as a replacement for the Night Fort. The Castle of Deep Lake was its replacement. Castle Black may have been built after the Undul invasion, when there were fewer recruits who worshipped the old gods. Note that Castle Black doesn't have its own godswood with a heart tree, thus Jon Snow has to swear his oath before a heart tree in the haunted forest on the other side of the wall. Some of the other, older castles along the wall, such as the Night Fort, do have godswoods. One of the goals that Jon intends to achieve as the new Lord Commander of the Watch is to restore and garrison as many of the abandoned castles as possible, by both members of the Watch and wildlings. So far, most of those castles have been garrisoned, though badly undermanned. The wall runs in a straight line from Eastwatch by the Sea to Castle Black, but the western half between Castle Black and the Shadow Tower curves gently here and there like a snake, because it extends through the rough country of the foothills of the Frostfawn Mountains. Technically, the wall doesn't actually extend from coast to coast. Eastwatch actually does terminate at the ocean's coast, which is why it serves as a port for the Watch, but the western end terminates at a massive gorge that is still somewhat inland. The Milkwater River carved a massive gorge through the Frostfangs, which is practically as steep as the wall itself, and which extends all the way to the ocean. The gorge is held to be as impassable as the wall, though small raiding bands with climbing equipment have perilously managed to climb both at times. The gorge is still seen as part of the overall defensive line provided by the wall. At any rate, the inlet formed by the Milkwater as it runs into the gorge is loosely thought of as an extension of the west coast of Westeros, and characters still speak of the wall as running from one side of Westeros to the other. Nonetheless, even when all of the castles of the wall were fully manned, the western end never provided safe harbor for ocean-going ships the way that Eastwatch does. According to myth, there are ancient spells and sorcery woven into the wall, to strengthen it and keep creatures of a magical nature, such as the others, from passing it. This is the reason cold hands could not pass through it. When Melisandre stays at Castle Black, she feels that her powers are much stronger than before, stronger even than in Ass High. Every word and gesture are more potent, and she can do things that she has never done before. George R. R. Martin has stated that the wall was inspired by Hadrian's Wall, a massive fortification built across northern England by the Roman Emperor Hadrian. Although significantly smaller than the wall in Westeros, less than 100 miles long and considerably shorter in height, both structures performed the same function, keeping the northern barbarians, i.e. wildlings, out of the civilized southern parts of the region. Both walls also had forts at regular intervals that housed groups of soldiers, and in some cases these soldiers were sent from considerable distances to man the wall, similar to how the Night's Watch draws its recruits from throughout the Seven Kingdoms.
If you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you later, bye bye.